Well, hello there, Maverick currency traders. This is Rob Reinhold. It is nice to be back from a long vacation. I can't believe we are at the end of February already, but we have one more day left in the month, thanks to a leap year, so one extra day to go make some pips. In this session, we're going to cover what happened today. We had one central bank announcement. We're going to be talking about the RBNZ. We're going to take a look at the current market, and we're going to score all of our currencies from the strongest to the weakest. And then, as always, we are looking to pair the strongest currency versus the weakest currency. That makes the quote-unquote best trade. Remember, in a currency trade, we're long and short something. We want to be long the strongest, short the weakest. That is the best trade we can be in.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the Apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
This is where we were just 24 hours ago. Ankit broke it down and pointed out that the cryptos were showing a lot of relative strength, especially Bitcoin, and we saw a really nice move in cryptos. After that, I want to point out that most of the Forex was in the middle. We don't really love to trade +1, 0, -1. We only like to trade when it gets outside that bound. So really, Swiss franc and CAD was the only interesting thing going on 24 hours ago. So let's check out what actually happened, and let's go through the news of the day first. First off, we got Australia CPI lower than expected. So it was only a tenth lower, but remember, right now, other countries, their inflation is higher than expected. So if other countries are having more strength, then we're going to see a difference in the currency values. And sure enough, we did see the Aussie weaken today. Then we heard from the RBNZ. It was expected that they were going to leave rates where it was. That's what happened, but they were more dovish than the market was expecting. So the Kiwi was the worst performing Forex currency today. And then we got some news out of the US. US GDP was revised down to 3.2%. Look, it's not a big deal. 3.3% was the last read. It's still a very strong number for the US economy. Taking a look at the performance today, we can see that really this big block here was up 1/3%. Remember, these aren't really big moves. These are decent moves, but these aren't giant moves. This was just a moderate day as far as volatility in Forex. As you can see, the US dollar was the strongest, followed by the Swiss franc. Remember, we had the Swiss franc as being a relatively strong currency, and sure enough, it came through today. The CAD was our -2, and you can see the CAD was in the middle. It was in the middle. It wasn't strong as everything else, but it definitely was not the weakest. So again, a CAD Swiss franc trade, it was an okay trade. It wasn't a great trade. It was just an okay trade. Where we saw the weakness was in the Aussie and the Kiwi, specifically the Kiwi. So if you were trading in something like Kiwi Swiss franc, that was a good, nice looking trade. Kiwi dollar, that was a nice looking trade for that day. So the things we expected to be strong were strong. The things we thought were going to be weak were in the middle. And we definitely are going to have a downgrade in the Aussie and Kiwi with this move that they had over the last 24 hours. We take a look at what happened in equities. You can see equities were basically flat today. We had pretty much flat equities, but they were weak. They spent most of the day in negative territory, and they actually hit much lower levels than what we closed. So we were down most of the day, had a little bit of a bounce at the end, but it was definitely a risk-off day. Cryptos continue to do better than everything else, especially Bitcoin. We'll take a look at that because that one looks really interesting on a breakout. You can see gold and oil basically went nowhere today. The market didn't have a huge bit of movement outside of Bitcoin. So we had Forex that was sort of volatile, not really, somewhere in the middle. We had stocks, fairly low volatility. And then the commodities, gold, silver, fairly low volatility. But here we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a nice gain today. but Ethereum had a decent gain as well. But this 5%, you definitely can't ignore that 5%. Big move on Bitcoin. We're definitely going to be taking a look at both Bitcoin and Ethereum on charts for potential setups. Did anything change in the market today? No. Let's take a look at the S&P. And you can see all we saw, and all we've been seeing for the last 4 days is a very orderly pullback. 1, 2, again, this is a green candle, but we're not bouncing. We gapped down. We even had a green candle today. If we take a look at support and resistance lines, we could even have a deeper pullback than we've had. And I expect that we probably have maybe 1 or 2 more days to this pullback, but there's no question that this is a +3 market. This market is poised. It is absolutely poised to have a nice rebound, but we can't ignore that for right now, prices are declining just a little bit. The market is in a risk off, but when we take a look at our score, it's still a +3. We are still above the 20, still above the 50-day moving average, and the slope of the 2050 is still solidly higher. Until that changes, we have to say risk-on trades make a lot more sense than risk-off trades. We take a look at the calendar, and I'm really just going to be focusing over the next 24 hours. I'm seeing that we've got some decent news tomorrow. German CPI, okay, that might actually do a little bit to the euro. I don't expect that to be a real big mover. Canadian GDP, this could be a decent mover, but I think the big news is going to be this one. The core PCE price index. This is the Fed's favorite measure of inflation, and if it's hot, we should see the dollar strengthen even more than it has. If it comes in at 0.4, as expected, I think we're going to see the dollar hold firm and maybe even go up a little bit. 0.3 or lower, we probably see a sell-off in the dollar. I think this is the best trading opportunity off of a news event over the next 24 hours is at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That should be the trade. Let's go in and take a look at some of the currencies and see where they are in a chart. I want to start out looking at the cryptos because I think if there's a clear trade at the moment, it's that the cryptos have a lot of momentum to the upside. Look, we saw this really long high base in Bitcoin, and we talked about this. We talked about this base. Once this base was over, likely to see a breakout. We saw this breakout. I want everyone to be a little cautious here because you can see this long upper shadow. These are signs of exhaustion. And if you look back in the chart, you can see whenever we have these really big tails, it typically ends up being a short-term top. Until we get the close of this candle, I'm not ready to say anything, but I'm a little skeptical of Bitcoin going any higher. We just had a 20% move in 3 days. I'm not bearish on it, but I don't think this is a great entry point. So let's go over and see if we can find a better entry point in one of the other cryptos. Here we have Ethereum. Ethereum has had a nice base here. We moved higher off of this base, 3,100 to 3,400. That's about a 10% move. When we take a look at, okay, Ethereum 10%, but I'm also seeing this long upper shadow here that I just don't love. I don't love that long upper shadow. Let's see if we can find anything else in the crypto world that would be interesting. Bitcoin Cash. As you can see, long upper shadow yesterday, long upper shadow today. Not all that interested. Litecoin. To me, if I was looking at any of the cryptos, Litecoin is the one that, to me, has the most upside potential. Now, look, it's not the one that's showing the most strength at the moment. Everything else has gone up so much. This is one of those where I think if Bitcoin can bottom out, stay strong, I think we might get some rotation into this. That being said, I am not looking to go long in Litecoin over the next 24 hours. That's just not on my list right here. The move in cryptos happened, I believe, this week. I think we're likely to see consolidation. If you do want to play cryptos, I do think Litecoin is the one with the most upside. But if Bitcoin keeps pulling back, guess what? It's going to take all the other cryptos along with it. I also want to take a look at the dollar. I want to take a look at the dollar really preparing for tomorrow's core PCE price index. If we take a look at this chart, we take a look and say, okay, where are the key support and resistance lines on a daily chart? You can see that we have pulled back and we have put in a nice little bottom off this level here. We definitely have some upside potential in the dollar, at least up to this top point of resistance. Now look, this is the dollar basket. We'll take a look at some dollar pairs here in just a second. Looking at the dollar, I like the dollar to the upside, but it needs to come with higher than expected inflation news on that PCE price index. If that comes out hot, this is going to be the trade. What to pair it up against? Well, we did see some weakness in the CAD. Here's the CAD on a daily chart. We have a nice base forming. To me, the CAD still looks as a possible short, but I also want to take a look at the Kiwi because the Kiwi had a big fall today off of the RBNZ, and you can see, technically speaking, there's a lot broken. There's a lot broken in this chart. We broke this support line. We broke down below the 13 EMA. We broke below the parabolic SAR. We broke below 50 on the RSI. There's a lot of things here technically saying that the Kiwi probably gets a little bit worse. Let's take a look and see what are our scores right now for all of the currencies. The cryptos have stayed strong, but what has strengthened over the past 24 hours? Well, we have seen the dollar, the yen, the euro all strengthen up to a +2. So we now have more tradable currencies. We've got, instead of just the Swiss franc, we've got the dollar, yen, and euro all showing some relative strength. And then on the weak side, we've seen that the Kiwi has weakened. We now have two possible currencies that we can cross up. We can look and see, if we don't want to trade the cryptos, then we can look and see, okay, any of these currencies against either of these currencies, we have lots of potential possibilities. The one I think has the most amount of upside is the dollar, since we do have that core PCE price index. The fact that we've got that core PCE price index is telling me we have some opportunity for a much bigger than usual gain because it has some news. If you want to avoid the US dollar, then I actually think the Swiss franc looks like it is the strongest here at the moment. So I'm going to take a look at stuff like Kiwi dollar, CAD Swiss franc, dollar CAD. Let's take a look at them. Would having more trading capital help you meet your trading goals? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop firm. We fund traders just like you with 5- and 6-figure accounts where you keep 70 to 80% of profits. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to start the process. This will take you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position, and you can read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have. After that, if you're interested, fill out an application, and then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video and schedule an interview with our recruiters. Are you our next trader? I'm going to start off with the best, I shouldn't say the best, but my favorite, Kiwi dollar. Let's take a look at Kiwi dollar on a daily chart. You can see that it tried to break out of this area and just really failed here. Should have held this level. If we're looking at what is the next level, we've got to take a look down here, right at about 60. That's about 40 pips away. That's 0.65% away. For me, that is enough of enough meat on the bone for me to take a look at possibly making a trade. What are we doing right here, right now? Well, we just had this big move down. We're having a little bounce up. This is where I'm really looking to short this bounce up. If we take a look at where this bounce is possible to go, 61.20 is a possibility. That may be a little bit lower. Anyway, anywhere around 61.10. That to me, I would love to be short up in this area. Anywhere up in this area would be just a great short entry point. Look, I'm not going to short it just because it gets there. It needs to get up there. It needs to give me a reversal candle. It needs to give me a red candle, a confirmation. Then I like the trade. And the target on that one is going to be down at 60.60. That's going to hopefully give us, a 50 pip profit. That's about 0.8%. That for me is definitely enough of a trade to take a look at it. And the other one, let's take a look at CAD Swiss franc. Let's pair up these other two. All right, so CAD Swiss franc on a daily, you can see that we have broken down this pretty key support level. Here's what I just love about this. It broke down, came up, touched it, and then fell away. It's a little bit overextended here. I'm going to need to see a bounce here or a base before I look to get in. This one is not ready to go over the next 24 hours. So for me, I'm taking a look at some dollar crosses instead of this. Where we are right now, equities are in a slight pullback. I think the pullback lasts another day or two. And look, if we were really, I always say if you could script out a trade, what would you script out? Because it really puts your mindset in the right place to trade disciplined. If I could script out the next 24 to 48 hours, the market continues to pull back. The core PCE price index out of the US comes out hotter than expected, causing equities to pull back even more. Now we're talking about a great pair in Kiwi dollar short, because that should hurt Kiwi, that should help dollar. The charts are there. We're just looking for the right entry point. Kiwi dollar short. Again, if I could script out what is going to happen over the next 24 to 48 hours, that is it. And that is how you script out a trade. This is the premise. This is what I think is likely to happen. This is where I think the largest move is going to happen in the market. And all I need to do is find the correct entry point for this trade. We talked about 61.10 being that point on Kiwi dollar. And now we just have to wait and see what actually happens. Sometimes you script these things out and the opposite happens and you don't make a trade, and that's just fine. But these are the trades. Again, you want to script it out. You want to be like, okay, this is what I'm looking for, why I'm looking for it. These are the areas I'm looking for it. When it gets to that point, you take action. Always protect yourself. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That is trading. We do have a slight risk off move, and this should help those currencies of safety like dollar, like Swiss franc, like yen. I think those continue to stay strong here until the market has a big bounce. That's it for me. Goodbye, everyone.